Hi guys, I'm David Dispinat with Media Unlocked.
And I'm faithful sidekick Bill Cole.
And today we're going to be talking about
ProGrey filters.
ProGrey filters. Now, this is our second video that we've done on them.
Yep.
And we've had them now for about, like 4 months.
Yeah, we've had them a long time. I've been playing with these things all summer. It feels like it's been so much fun.
Yeah, we both have been on trips, numerous trips this summer, and we've gotten to actually use them. It was a great summer.
It was a good summer for trips.
You know, I went out west. You headed
south.
You went south to Carolina, and I hit up Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana.
And they're going to Maine next week.
Really? Is that happening? Are you going on that trip?
I'm going to send them with charters up there. I may or may not go, but he's going to take them.
Yeah, so they'll get some more use up in Maine. These things have really been a lot of fun to use. They've worked fantastically.
I'm in love.
As we in the first video, we kind of touched base on why we like them a little bit better than Lee and Koken, and some of the other Nissy, some of the other companies out there. But today we really just wanted to talk about our experience actually physically using them in the field and to show you guys some examples of how well they work. Click and you'll be able to see the first video. It's called a card, and we'll also add a link to the ProGrey filters themselves on Amazon so you can actually check them out.
Well, how about if I tell you a little bit about my trip to Carolina?
Well, let's talk about it.
I went down to the Blue Ridge Parkway. I went down there with a group of photographers from the Creative Camera Club here in Lexington. And we go down every year at the end of July. It's headed by a great landscape photographer named John Snell, who's got 20 years of beautiful experience shooting sunsets and waterfalls down there.
Pretty much considered the best landscape photographer in the state.
If not a lot bigger area than that. He's got books out. He's world famous for shooting the Red River Gorge. You really ought to check out his page, johnsnellphotography.com. He's got some beautiful, beautiful landscapes. So I go down there with John and a few other people, and I used it primarily on sunset at Water Rock Knob, but I also used it at the most gorgeous waterfall I've ever seen.
And you don't really like waterfalls?
No, I like big, impressive, thundering waterfalls, but the little waterfalls with trickles and things like that, I kind of leave those for John because one thing he does is so much better than I do.
It's amazing what an ND filter will do for a waterfall. So
yeah,
you get
it is.
Nice, smooth, silky look.
This is Esteteau Falls, which is a fall on private property right into the Georgia-North Carolina state line. You actually have to go from Carolina into Georgia, back into Carolina, back into Georgia, and all like that to get there. But the folks who own it, they have built a photo stand, basically, and they allow you to come on and use it. They request, of course, the leave no trace practices.
You're going to tell me to use your ninja skills to get back there, in and out.
I left my black shirt and blindfolded at home, so I couldn't use it. And the sword, throwing the camera up and hitting the remote cable release with the sword is tough.
It is, but you're one of the best at it. No one can throw a camera up and snap a shot in midair.
As my profile picture shows, because it's levitating. But Esteteau was absolutely gorgeous. It's largely considered to be one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the world. And it's so nice of these guys to let photographers on to take their images. Because usually when a waterfall is on private property, especially when it's located only a couple hundred yards from your house, they don't want people trafficking and walking around back there, but it is gorgeous. And John shot it on Friday, and it was a beautiful shot, so I had to go down and try to beat him, which of course I can never do, but I have to try.
Yes.
Because that's how you get better. You get better by trying to stretch a little bit.
Of course.
So I went down and I popped the filter on, and I shot it for, I don't know, probably about 2 hours. Now, the falls were big. I shot just a part of the fall here, just because capturing the whole thing, I didn't get the feel for the whole thing. I wanted to focus on just the little rivulets, and this particular part of the waterfall caught my attention more than anything else. But I absolutely love the dynamic range. Now, I used a 3-stop filter on this one because we had nice even light, but what I wanted was that silky water.
So you wanted a slower shutter speed, pretty much.
I wanted a slower shutter speed, and that's what the beauty of the neutral density filters are. Because as photographers, largely we're trained, David, to add light.
Right.
So we think, if we need to fix the light, I'll just pop a flash on or something like that. But figuring out how to take light off is a lot harder because we're not trained that way.
Now, what do you think about the color cast?
I didn't see anything at all.
It seemed like a good, clean color cast. Like it was coming straight from the lens.
Yeah, I wound up adding just a touch of warming filter to the final prospect in Photoshop, but that was the light. I shot it in the morning.
Yeah. And
it was after golden hour. We shot it about 11 o'clock in the morning, and it was mostly under a tree canopy, which gives it a little bit of a cooler light. So I needed to do it that way. I did not notice any color cast. In fact, in my 4-ish months of playing with these things, I haven't found a color cast issue. Which is rare with
that's one of the things we love. And what ProGrey, another thing, because we're this whole video is about ProGrey because this is one of the few products. This is one of the few products that we've ever gotten that we're still head over heels with. Like we are just in love with the product.
And it's hard to be in love with a filter kit because filters by their nature are hard to use, and not a lot of photographers.
And a good filter kit's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap at all. There's no doubt this is a very expensive filter kit, and it's one of the things that when you need it to get the shot, there's no substitute. There is no other way of getting the shot if you don't have this gear. And well, frankly, they separate that 1%. Yeah, they are really kind of pricey.
Right.
It's a very pricey product, but we're trained as photographers to add light. That's something we think of. We add a light if we want more. We're not trained to take light off. But the reality is we have a love-hate relationship with these filters. They're not easy to use, but when you need a neutral density filter, David, it's the only way to get the shot.
Exactly.
And they're what really separate that 1% of photographers that invest in their gear and invest in their art from the 99% that don't.
I mean, you get a guy like Joel Grimes, you know, he's gonna have a really nice filter set.
Matt Kosklowski, for example, does entire videos on neutral density filter use when he teaches at Creative Live with long exposure photography classes.
And one of the things I really like about the ProGrey filter set is that they went with a resin for the gradient filters, which we're going to talk a little bit about later on. We did a really cool shot with them.
But you've got the true color glass.
Right. So they decided to go glass on the neutral density instead of having a whole line that's glass and a whole line. You know, like I think Nissy's all glass, right? Everything they do is glass.
I would have to check that.
I might be wrong, but I believe so. ProGrey's gone in and really thought it through and tried to make the best possible.
Well, the true color glass just doesn't translate to color cast.
Yeah.
It just there's no color casting issues that I've seen.
Very true.
So
why don't you tell us about a few other now?
While I was down in Carolina, I took 2 other shots on the top of Water Rock Knob, and this was the little video.
Was that the sunset one?
That was the sunset. That was in the
came
first
out really
video.
well.
Yeah, thank you.
Pretty impressed.
The first one I'm going to pop up here is it's a sunset. It's just a silhouette. I love silhouettes. So it's just a simple sunset silhouette. I used a graduated filter on this one.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about that more with another shot, but I just wanted to mention that this one I did use the graduated filter on. But the one I'm particularly proud of is the one we're popping up right now. It is a capture of the sunbeams as they're coming through a hole in the clouds. And it was one of those things that I got up to Water Rock Knob and I started looking around for my shot, and all of a sudden, David, I saw it. And it was a circus production. Grab the gear, grab the camera, grab the tripod, grab the filters, because I knew I needed an ND filter for this one. So I used the 0.3 filter, just the graduate or the regular neutral density filter.
When I was traveling, and we'll get into some of my stories here a little bit later, but I found that sliding the filters in and keeping them from scratching each other, I found the ease of use of the filter kit to be really good. There was none of that jerky kind of trying to force it in. They slide right in, and very nice and gently.
Clearly well made.
Which is important when you've got 2 minutes or a minute to get set up for a shot.
It was a circus show getting that shot, but it worked. And those are the 2 shots down in Carolina that I got that I was particularly proud of. Now, I was using it again at our Camera Club picnic the other night.
And you got a pretty cool little shot with that.
Yeah. Now I'm going to pop that one up right now. It's a picture of a couple of cypress trees in a reservoir. Now, the particularly interesting part is that this image is actually a composite of 2 images. The first one is a long exposure 30-second shot that uses the 10-stop neutral density filter. Now, I call it hanging 10 shades of black on the front of your lens. But it allowed me to shoot 4 in the afternoon on a bright sunny day where I had a choppy wind and get this level of clear, silky water. Because what I'm looking for is the reflection. Now, the thing I didn't like about it, of course, is that it's a heavy wind, so 30 seconds of exposure made that tree look like, I don't know, SpongeBob SquarePants or something like that. So I shot that exposure at 1/400th of a second, and then I blended the 2 together in Photoshop to get a clear cypress tree with silky water, and I'm really proud of the result. I mean, the shadowing is perfect. I love the reflections on the water.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have done it without a 10-stop filter. The other shots that I've got are out at Keeneland, and we did that together.
We did.
Last week.
We did that last week, right before we got hit with a bunch of rain.
Oh, it was amazing. I believe it was a hurricane called Harvey.
Harvey, yeah.
He came through for a visit.
He did, and we were trying to shoot this specific shot
as the rain is coming down from Harvey.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it was horrible.
It took us 3 days to finally be able to get out.
We
had like a 2-hour window to get the shot, and then, well, here it came.
But we wanted to shoot a sunset. Now,
we did.
Harvey gave us some particularly interesting skies, and we're going to pop this image up right now. And what you'll notice, first and foremost, I hope, is the sky. The clouds are absolutely amazing. The sunset had this blue band of oranges right in the middle. And by using the ProGrey graduated neutral density filter this time, we could capture the details in the foreground, so we kept it going.
And that was the whole idea, is that we were able to darken the actual sky.
Which would be right here.
Right.
Because this is the inverse filter.
Right.
Inverse filters, by the way, are fairly rare. You have to forgive my voice because David gave me a cold. He doesn't like me.
But we wanted to use this very specific filter for this shot, and this is...
Exactly. It's specialized filter for a specialized shot.
Yeah. And it worked out amazing.
I've never used it I've never used that particular filter for anything else before.
It's
but
like
it works
well.
well.
It's the oddball of the filters.
But
when you need it, again,
it worked.
It worked great,
and we couldn't have gotten that shot without it. So what did you do when you were in Montana?
Well, I spent 3 weeks traveling in Colorado, and then we decided to head up to Wyoming and Montana. Now, unfortunately, most of my Montana shots were all star shots. I love doing astrophotography, so...
He's got to teach me how. He keeps saying he's going to, but he knows I'm going to be better
We don't
at
have
it
the
than he
time of late. At the few times that the stars have been out...
That's not it. He knows I'm going to be better at it.
Yeah, he's gonna steal my thunder.
Because I'm better
I
at
would not have that happen. So I love star photography, and that's what I did a lot in Montana, because that was the right time for the stars when I was out there. Most of the shots that I took using the filter set, a little bit in Colorado, but I wasn't crazy about the pictures I chose and framed up. Now, but we did hit up the Tetons in Wyoming.
I've always wanted to go there.
And it was, I've been there like 2 or 3 times. It's absolutely beautiful. And I got some really, really cool shots. I have this one shot where the idea was I was trying to build a path to lead you into the mountains, but it was off in the thirds.
The leading lines of composition.
Yeah.
It's one of the basic rules of composition and photography.
And the sky was a little brighter.
Sounds like you need a graduated filter.
You know, that's exactly what I need.
Isn't it lucky you had one with you?
It was fantastic.
Oh, I'm so glad I could help you out.
Again, we were having rain issues, so I had, like you, a circus show for you trying to set up for that sunset. I could literally see the rain cloud coming from behind us, and I could see the rain coming at me. So I had maybe 2-3 minutes to get this shot off. On top of that, there were people on the path walking. So my cousin was kind enough to run down the path and ask them to step to the side and hide behind this tree.
Did he use his shoulder pads? Knock him out of the way?
There you go. It's always nice to be courteous as a photographer, because remember, it's their path too. It's not just you as a photographer, and never forget that.
I don't forget it.
Be kind and courteous, and people 9 times out of 10 will be kind and courteous.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll do it without. They'll just be like, oh, they respect it. Right. They'll stop, talk to you for a minute, but they'll get out of the way for you. And those people were more than kind enough to step behind a tree, and I had about 30-second window, got everything set up, got the lighting where I wanted, put the neutral density filter on there, graduated filter, and I took this beautiful shot. Now the next shot I got, the next day, was a beautiful, I got a couple different waterfall shots over the next couple days, where I used the ND filter and the neutral density filter. So I used the ND filter to bring the whole entire picture down. I think I used the 3-stop and the 10-stop at one point in time. And then I still needed to bring the sky back in, still allowing the bottom part of the picture, the foreground, to stay the lighting where I wanted. And I was able to get some just really cool shots, and I'm gonna pop those up right now. So this filter kit, and to be honest, like we talked in the part 1, I was looking into buying a filter kit because I'm a landscape photographer, and when I do get out for my 1 week, or my 1 to 3 weeks once a year to go shoot out west, usually 3 to 5. I spend a lot of time traveling if I can. I save up money, and then I blow it all on travel and pictures, and then I'm broke, and then I save up money again, because that's just the way of life for me at the moment. So I was looking at different filter kits, and I looked at a bunch of them, and I actually came across another person's video about ProGrey, because I really, in my opinion, ProGrey is really not a lot of people know who they are. They're not like a name brand. They're not a name brand, and I think one of the reasons is that they don't have a lot of people talking about them, and the people that are using them are the 1%ers out there, the guys that are the best of the best, and a lot of those guys you probably never heard of because they don't market themselves.
And the filters are just so well designed. As we mentioned earlier, they slide into the filter holder so easily. They're obviously machined at the perfect matching
No light
depth.
leak.
There was no light leak. I didn't have any issues at all with it, which is rare for square filters.
And I really find it hard to talk about a product without trying to find something wrong with it. And damn it, I haven't found an actual issue.
I did find one error.
Oh yeah, your
I found
thumbprints.
one problem.
Your oily thumbprints all over it.
No, actually that's not it. But I discovered that if you slide them in the wrong way, you actually damage the pad.
Oh,
that's a design flaw. We need to talk to them about that, because if you slide it in the wrong way, it ought to fix itself.
Okay.
Okay.
So we had one small fall.
Yeah. I slid it in the sideways. I put it in the 90-degree twist, and because I goofed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, take your time. Put it in. I know sometimes you don't have the time.
That's my bad.
But at the end of the day, these filters are amazing, and
they're so logically laid out. They're so easy to use physically, and filters are hard. Filters are hard because there's no way. They're messy. They're just a messy product. You have to stop what you're doing. You have to think. You have to pull out your app, for example, if you're using the exposure compensation app for your phone, so that you know that if your exposure was this, it's got to go to that.
This is going to teach you to be a better photographer. Because when I started out as a landscape photographer many years, and I was more amateur than anything at the time, I didn't know what I was really doing.
Still is.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
No problem.
I learned that rushing a shot, just showing up and taking a shot, is hardly ever going to work the way you want it to. But being patient and waiting for a shot, maybe going back to the same spot 2 or 3 times at different times of the day or different times of the year is going to change the shot so large.
One of the things I learned from John is when you go to a location to shoot, you stop and you just look at the light.
Yeah.
You watch the way it changes. You watch the way the clouds are moving that day. You watch how the trees are moving. And that's how you know which filter to use. You combine that, for example, with zone theory, and you know where to start your exposures at.
I'm going to pop up one more photo. And this was an HDR photo I did without a filter set, but it took me a week to plan this shot by going to the same barn over and over again and sitting in a chair for hours. And this is probably what's considered one of my best photos by many of my critics.
This is actually the only photo of his that I like. Okay, I'm teasing.
But this is probably my most sold photo, most popular photo. And I wish I'd had a filter set, because I think I could have controlled the lighting a little bit better. But the
lens flare would have been an issue.
Yeah.
The lens flare you've got on that image is just perfect.
Yeah, but I spent days, almost a full week of just sitting in a chair from 7 a.m. till noon, and then from noon to, and I probably spent 15 hours before I finally figured out, okay, so at this time of the day, I need to be right here at this chair, I need to have my tripod set up, and I get this shot.
And it worked beautifully.
And it really did. So I guess as a conclusion, if you're looking for a good filter set, something that's reliable, something that has a long shelf life, these graduated filters are polyresin.
Polyresin for the polycarbonate
and they are, I wouldn't say indestructible, but they can take
damage through a chipper shredder.
Yeah, they can definitely take some damage. Of course, you want to be careful with your glass, but we really like the glass ND filters.
You get better color.
These are expensive. These are not cheap filter set, but these are for the person out there, the hobbyist, the enthusiast, the professional, that is willing to spend money for something that is going to give them great quality images with their already great glass.
It's an investment. It's not a cost.
Right.
It's an investment, because like a good tripod.
Right.
You buy it once, you take care of it, and you're always going to have it.
Yeah. So, if you take good care of this, I don't see why these won't last 10 plus years. And
a lifetime.
And so that can make $50 to $100 a year for a great filter set, especially if you're out there doing landscape, if you're out there needing it. That's really not that much money. And you can buy it in pieces if you have to.
The way I look at it is that when you need these filters, it's the only way to get the shot.
It really is.
And that's what it's all about in the long run.
Thanks, ProGrey, for sending these out to us. These things are awesome. They really are.
Yeah, I mean, I've fallen completely in love, especially with the neutral densities.
So we hope to get more stuff from them in the future, maybe do some more videos, talk about other products they may come out with. Hopefully this will not be the last time we're talking about it. When we get excited and caught up in a product, you may see a few videos over the years about that product.
Yeah, and these are just the bomb. I mean, they're just so well done. It's like ProGrey anticipated all of the flaws with everything else that they
Or they took a look at what was on the market and they said, how can we make it better? And they did.
Yeah, and it's worth the price. And ultimately, that's the compliment I can give any product. It's worth its price.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping in today, guys. Just to let you know, if you want to look at the newest video that we have out, it's going to be over here, down here diagonally in the corner. That is going to be a link to the ProGrey product, so you can check it out. If you do buy it, it does help us out a little bit with that commission, keeps us going, making these videos for you. And as always, you best be subscribing if you made it this far.
Where do they do
right
that?
Down here.
Thank
subscribe, boom. Anyways, guys, as always, we'll catch you next time.